What is the number one call that you get the most from homeowners?
The number one call. There's a
Hmm.
few that show up a lot. Probably just as a category as just something's like backed up, right? Drains are probably the most frequent one.
Okay. What's usually causing those clogged drains?
Uh, it can be a number of things. If it's the main line, it's usually roots. If it is like a kitchen line, maybe their garbage disposal went out. A lot of times it can be somebody just dumped food that they probably weren't supposed to down the drain, or just like buildup from a long time of use, or any type of bathroom drain. It's usually hair.
Is there anything that, like, what's actually causing that buildup in showers and sinks? And really, is there anything that homeowners can do before they call someone? Call a plumber.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few things that you can do, especially the bathrooms one. It's like about managing the stuff that goes down the drain. They have products out there, sink hair catchers or tub hair catchers. Those are really effective, right? You put this little thing in there, it catches all the hair before it has a chance to go down the pipes. You clean it out every day or every few days, and then you're not going to end up with clogs unless you have like really like your pipes are bad and they need replaced. Like there's a limit to hair catchers. You got to have decent pipes for them to work. Or at least for them to be like feel worthwhile and effective, right?
Yeah.
If it is a kitchen, I don't know if you've ever seen these. I keep thinking about getting one for myself. Although I just tend to use the garbage disposal, but they have these like little things you can put in the corner, right? They have these disposable nets,
Mhm.
and you can like strain your food garbage through it, and it'll catch all of the food, and then you just take that little net and you throw it away, and then you put another one there. So mainly it's just like, what was that?
And I wonder if those are compostable. Just like drop them in the compost.
I would imagine that somebody makes a compostable one. I have a feeling that the ones that are being advertised to me from China are not. Yeah,
That's highly probable.
yeah. I'm sure they make them out of
Most,
polyester or something. Um,
man, technically. Anyways.
yeah. But those are great. So it's mainly about like don't put stuff down the drains. It should be water and
Mhm.
like small particle things are like okay. But anything that's like hair is long and it catches on stuff and it gets tangled, right? So that's why it causes the backups. Any kind of fibrous foods, you want to make sure that they're not getting down there. And then if you get something down there, there are some products that homeowners can use. They're very safe and they're fairly effective for small problems, right? So have you ever seen those like plastic zipper things? It's like this long, has like a little tag for
Yes.
you to hold on one end, and it has like barbs all the way down. So you just stick it in your drain,
Oh, and you're like, shut.
swirl it around a little bit, pull it out. You'll have a nice nasty gob of whatever was stuck and throw it away.
I think I used that in college once.
Mhm.
Back when the 1 year that I lived with like all girls,
Mhm.
that shower was a mess.
Yes.
Between the
My
1,500 products and all the hair.
yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, my first dorm room that I lived in, the bathroom, they had like showers that were like in a line. There's like I think like four stalls, and it had a trough drain on the backside, and it was always just always backed up. There was every time you took a shower, it had like the water you'd be standing in water because it just couldn't drain fast enough. So I that's when I
How many
started.
girls?
In the hallway, it was probably they had some quads, they had a bunch of doubles. I wouldn't be surprised if it was like 30 girls.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got away lucky because in the engineering dorms,
Mm-hmm.
it was in the engineering dorms, the rooms were like it was quads, but it was one bathroom per quad.
Mm. Yeah,
I
I
mean,
know
the
this was
bathroom
an
is the
older
size of a
style dorm,
box.
so it was just the room. It was a tiny little hole in the
Oh,
wall for the doubles, and like the quads were bigger, but you had four people in there, and then you had one
yeah.
bathroom that you were sharing like per hallway, and it was just always backed up.
Here is a call that I feel like we get a lot from homeowners
Yeah.
as somebody who answers the phone here. Running toilets,
Yes.
especially running toilets that people can't figure out like
Hmm.
what's going on with. Um, with a running toilet, how much water are we actually losing?
Mm.
Like, how much should we be panicking?
It adds up pretty fast. So you think about a toilet, even the low flush ones, they're doing like what, couple gallons, let's just say. There's
Mhm.
different sizes of flush, right? Let's say it's 2 gallons.
Yeah.
Let's say, how long do you feel like it normally takes your tank to fill back up after you've done a flush? Like 30 seconds? Because, okay, that means that you could, in theory, fill up that tank, that 2 gallon tank, 3 times in 1 minute. So that's 6 gallons a minute.
Hmm.
And it's probably not leaking past at full force flow, but it could be anywhere from, let's say, 1 to 6 gallons per minute that is going down your toilet if you've got a leaky, like a flowing by toilet. So it's a lot
So
of
this
water.
is actually wasting money.
It's not doing anything for you. So it's just water use and you're not getting any value out of it. So yes, total waste of money. Yeah.
What would be like the next steps from a plumber's standpoint? Your toilet's leaking. Obviously, somebody can try and take the steps to replace the innards themselves.
Yeah.
But if we were to go out there, what would be like the next steps we would be looking at for
Yeah,
this?
we would verify which part is failing. Is it um is it the fill valve is running and it's going through the overflow tube, or is it the flapper is not sealed and so every once in a while the toilet kind of turns on and fills the tank back up, right? Those are the
Hmm.
two most common failure points for a leaking toilet. And we can replace one of those. We can replace both of those. It's a pretty good idea to go ahead and replace both of them because if one of them's failed, the other one either has already failed or is going to be failing soon. So just get your whole toilet rebuilt, and then you shouldn't have to worry about leaks anymore. No more wasted water.
Is there a spot where it could be leaking where we would just need to replace the entire toilet?
Yeah, if you have like a crack in the back tank, uh, like you can replace back tanks, but it's not worth it. You'd have to find the exact right one, and the time and money involved with that, you may as well just get a new toilet. Your toilet's probably old enough that, maybe it doesn't flush as efficiently as it could. Maybe you don't like the way it looks. Maybe you just want like a slightly different style. So there's plenty of reasons to replace the toilet. If the back tank is cracked, if any of it's cracked, just go ahead and get it replaced.
What is the coolest new feature on a toilet right now?
The coolest new feature. I
Yeah.
think the ones that have the new flush pattern. So typically older style toilets, you've got these like little points all the way around, and so it'll get a little bit of water and it creates that swirl effect, right? The newer toilets, they have more of a stream that comes out of one location and it creates a stronger swirl, and it's supposed to be better at keeping the toilet itself clean.
Huh. I mean, that's fair. Those little spots around the top, I like to call them mold collectors.
And this is one spot that has water come out of it, and it's not the small little jets. It's actually it's a pretty sizable hole.
I still feel like I have to put, not that I recommend people do this, though I think our conversation about the toilets before and said previous first episode, it is okay to do this. But again, not recommended just for legal reasons. To put bleach in the back of your toilet tank. It's what
Mhm.
I like to do. Um, and it runs through those holes. I wonder if that would do anything to the big hole.
I'm sure it would. Yeah.
Okay. So less common in, um, I would say less common of a call, but something that we very specifically get for Kettering, Ohio often is pressure concerns.
Hmm.
So why would a homeowner suddenly why would they suddenly like lose water pressure?
Losing water pressure could be an indication that your main line broke. So instead of the water coming
Like the
into your
heating
home,
line?
like
Okay.
your supply line, your water's not making it to the home, it's going out into your yard, and so it can't maintain pressure in the house anymore. Um, Other things that could cause a lot of pressure drop, it's usually so if for something that is related to the home itself, it's most likely going to be some sort of break or leak or basically a bunch of water coming out of the system and therefore it can't maintain pressure, right? Maybe
Yeah.
it could be your water heater has a leak on it now and it's, pouring water out and there's any place you can think of that could have a leak, that could be it. It could be that sediment got into your line and you have like your aerators now are all clogged up. You could clean those out, maybe you're fine. If you have a water softener, maybe your resin tank imploded and now you have little resin beads throughout your system. That would show up as like a reduction in water pressure, mainly on the cold side for that. Um,
Okay.
but at the end of the day, there are circumstances where the city supply has a problem and it'll take pressure out for like the whole neighborhood. So lots of things that could happen
So check
inside
your
your home. There's a few things that can happen where it's not the home at all.
So if you suddenly lose water pressure, check with the neighbor first and then inspect the house.
Um, yeah, if you got a good relationship with your neighbor, that'll eliminate that as a possibility. The other thing is, if you're gonna call a plumber, we can do lots of things about the stuff in your home. Can't do so much about the stuff on the city side.
And that makes, I mean, when I lose power, I typically check with the neighbor first before I go start messing with the
Hmm.
fuse box.
Yeah, and we had a
So,
call similar to this last night. We had somebody contact us about a water heater that they couldn't light their pilot on, and it turned out that the gas in the neighborhood was out.
oh, that's what that call was?
Hmm.
Oh,
Yep.
okay. Interesting. Um, huh. So with low water pressure, there can be a lot of different issues. But
Yeah.
what if somebody, and this is the problem that typically we see in Kettering, Ohio,
Hmm.
is we have high water pressure coming into the homes.
Yeah. So high water pressure,
Mm.
that is that's driven by the city. So basically, what will happen is a municipality will try to match the demand, so how many homes there are in the system, to the pressure that they're providing. And it's not always a perfect match, right? So cities who are expecting an expansion, or maybe suddenly had like a bunch of people move out and so they're not using water. There's lots of different reasons that it's not lined up, but they'll end up with higher water pressure in their systems, right? The only
Yeah.
thing that you can do for that as a homeowner is put in a pressure reducing valve. And what that does is it just caps the pressure that your home experiences to an appropriate level, usually around like 60, 65 psi is what you would set it for. That way, no matter if there's a surge on the city side or if, um, you know, they just have perpetually high pressure, you can't have more than 65 psi in your home.
Is that going to make it so my showers are less um massagey or like skin removal-y? I'm trying to think of the word. Hard. Less hard.
If you have a high powered shower because you have high pressure in your home, reducing the pressure it would reduce what you feel, but probably less than you expect. Um, 65 psi is still pretty good. You're still going to get a good shower out of that. And you can set it a little bit higher than that. You can have pressure reducing valves set at like 70 or 75. We won't put it over 80 because 80 is what your home's fixtures are designed to withstand. Uh, but
Hmm.
at least at 70, 75, it is protecting the home. And you're still going to get a really good high pressure shower out of that. The other thing is because the city pressure is kind of like, think of it like a battery. When you start having the pressure go through the home, that pressure drop is going to allow, like, the city pressure will come behind it, right? It's like it doesn't drop as quickly because it's got a well of pressure behind it.
Okay.
Yeah, it just
So
basically keeps it at 65.
what does it mean if I have to replace my shower head every 2 years, right? Or my kitchen faucets keep blowing out in 6 months?
Um, that means you definitely have a pressure issue. You probably also have a hard water issue. They kind of work together, right? So the pressure is what's causing those leaks to actually like come through, but the hard water is um, wearing down the mechanical parts of the fixture so that it fails faster. So it's like it's a 1-2 punch. You're getting the worst of both worlds.
Your house is revolting. This
Yes.
is what it is. So here is something that I feel like makes small children afraid of going in the basement.
Hmm.
However, I have seen that we have gotten a decent number of calls in for complaints of like loud noises coming from the basement and the water heater area.
Yeah.
Literal popping, gurgling. Ugh. That was a weird sound. Just like weird noises coming from the water heater.
Yeah, that is sediment in your water heater. So if you have not had your water heater flushed during the life of the water heater, you're going to start getting those popping noises. What that is think about your microwave, and when you put food in there
Hmm.
and you heat it up and it doesn't heat evenly, it'll like pop
Yeah.
and make noise. That's the same thing. So basically, because all of this sediment is sitting on the heating, the elements or the like the bottom of the water heater, as that starts to heat up, you'll get it. It doesn't the heat isn't because it's sediment, not water. The heat doesn't get to like flow and mix and like evenly heat up the water, right? It's a really hot surface
Mhm.
and it's trying to heat it up quickly, and the sediment is not, that's not what that's meant to be heating, right? Um, so it just, you'll get little pockets of air trapped by the sediment that'll pop and makes all that noise, and it just means your water heater needed some flushing. And you probably needed a water softener to keep the hardness out of there in the first place.
Hmm. So, I mean, because nothing ruins a morning like having your water heater go out.
Hmm.
How do you know before that happens whether it is time to get that thing flushed, repaired, or just let's just get a new one?
Yeah.
What are my indicators?
The popping noises are they're kind of a lagging indicator. If your water heater's already popping, you're probably late on maintenance, right? Um,
Okay.
if it's been a year, get it flushed. Get it flushed every year around here. And as far as the other maintenance goes, have your plumber take a look at it when they're there to do the water heater flush. Have them check the anode rod if it's been a couple of years since that's been replaced. Um, have them kind of give it a once over. Maybe run, so you can use a multimeter on various places on your
Hmm.
water heater to see how the electric current is doing. If it's
Hmm.
outside of range, or starting to drift outside of range, that's an indication that something is starting to fail on your water heater. And frankly, if it's 10 years old, you might want to consider a new one. Especially if you haven't been if you didn't know that flushing your water heater was a thing and your water heater is 10 years old, I would start preparing to have that replaced.
Okay. Why do I, as a homeowner, care about the anode rod, and what is that doing for me?
Yeah. The anode rod is a sacrificial piece of metal that is inside of your water heater. This all applies to tanked water heaters, by the way. If you have a tankless water heater, they don't have an anode rod. But the tanked water heaters, they have a few things that they do to try to keep your tank from corroding. It's metal, it's up against water. Obviously corrosion is an issue. So the two main mechanisms are there's going to be some sort of coating on the inside of the tank to try to keep the water away from the metal.
Mhm.
And then there's also going to be an anode rod. That's a sacrificial piece of metal that instead of your tank corroding, the anode rod corrodes first. So over time, basically the water is eating away at that anode rod. As long as the anode rod exists, it's going to corrode first. The tank is going to be fine. But the anode rods, depending on your water quality and the use case and everything, it's going to run out in somewhere between 1 and 3 years. So if you want to keep continuing to protect it, it needs to be replaced. And you should have that checked at least every couple of years.
Are there different types of anode rods?
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, are there different types of anode rods that would extend that time that I have to be thinking about
Yeah.
replacing it?
So there are three types of metal ones, and then there's a fourth
Mhm.
option, which actually means that you don't have to worry about it running out. There's the standard one is aluminum, and that's one of the ones they're going to last like 1 to 3 years. There is, if you have a
Okay.
problem with sulfur smell in your hot water heater, there is the zinc.
Is that rotten? No.
The rotten egg smell. And what
Salt.
that is basically it's a bacteria
Ugh.
that's interacting with the aluminum in the water heater. And so you have to swap out the aluminum for something else. So zinc or magnesium, those are your two options as far as trying to get rid of that sulfur smell. The fourth option is what they call a powered anode rod. Now, these come standard on commercial units these days, but basically what it is it's a little bit of titanium. It, extends into the
Mhm.
water heater and it is plugged into the wall. So it provides an electric current so that instead of just eating off little atoms of the magnesium, zinc, or aluminum anode rod, it provides electrons. It's the same sort of idea, but instead of eating up the material of the anode rod, you keep it plugged into the wall, it provides electricity, and it protects your tank just the same way.
Is that gonna um cause an issue if like, because I know when the power goes out, the gas still works, right?
hmm
Is that gonna cause an issue if your power goes out, but your water heater is still functioning because you have gas?
Um, so it is protective as long as your power isn't
Hmm.
out and your water heater is in use for like weeks, you're going to be fine. Water heaters can function without an anode rod. They just won't function for as long. So a powered anode rod, if it loses power, yes, technically speaking, your water heater is not protected in that moment. But as long as it's not for weeks and months, then you're not really going to notice a difference in the longevity.
Okay. Well, I will remind the powers to be not to turn my electricity off for weeks or months at a time. Uh, Something else that tends to fail in the basement, especially during rainstorms, flooded basements, huge pain point. Whenever we have a massive storm, they're just a problem everywhere. What steps can I take to alleviate sump pump failures?
The biggest one is just check on it. Make sure that the breaker that it's plugged into hasn't flipped. Um, you know, try triggering the float to see if it's operating, right? The motor hasn't burnt out. Another thing to do is make sure that the float isn't stuck on anything. Sometimes it's not that the sump pump has failed, it's just that the float, which is basically the thing that senses the level of water in the pit, um, it is stuck on something, and when the water level rises, it can't actually rise up and trigger the pump to go. Uh, Another thing that you can do is occasionally the outlet, the discharge pipe of your sump pump, that might get a clog in it. So run it wherever it goes to, make sure that that water is actually exiting. Um, all sump pumps should have a check valve on the discharge line, and that just basically keeps. Usually, sump pumps are pumping water up and out, right? Out of a basement, up and out of the home. Uh, Depending on how far that run goes, you could have a few gallons of water in the discharge pipe that would flow back down into the pit. And so that you don't have short
Mhm.
cycling, you have a check valve there. That check valve could fail. It could get a little piece of debris in it and it could be stuck open, or it could just fail entirely. And then every time your sump pump goes, the water falls back into the pit. It's going to short cycle. That's going to reduce the longevity of it. So there's just a few things that you can check, make sure that those are functioning. And otherwise, just keep an eye on how old it is. If it is 5 to 10 years old, you may not have any problems for a while, but most sump pumps, if you get a good 5 years out of them, then you should be pretty happy with how long they lasted.
Are there brands that you trust that would last longer? Like, are there sump pump brands that you trust that would last longer than that 5 to 10 year period?
Yeah, you can. I've seen Zoller last a long time. I've seen Liberty last a long time. There's another thing too that you have to consider. There's two main material types that they make sump pumps out of, like the body of the sump pump. There's cast iron
Yeah.
and there's aluminum, and they're meant for different things. The cast iron is good for a sump pump that's going to be turning on and running for a little bit longer, because it has more heat capacity. It's not going to overheat as quickly. The aluminum one is good for not corroding as quickly.
Okay. So another pain point with sump pumps. They are necessary during thunderstorms and
Hmm.
flooding,
Hmm.
which is not exactly the point in time where our infrastructure in Dayton seems to want to run if the power lines get overwhelmed,
Yeah,
right? Like, especially wasn't there just a tornado earlier this year that went through something?
there
I don't know. I
were
know
some tornadoes in the
people.
area. I don't remember which part of the area that they hit. I don't think it was it was the area I live in, so I wasn't paying that close of
Well,
attention.
I have been at least informed 172,000 times in my childhood about the 1970, I want to say one tornado that went through Xenia and wiped out half the city and the power was
Yeah.
down and like at what point how am I protecting my basement when the power goes out and that sump pump can't run?
Yeah.
Because it's like I don't want a flooded basement. What are my options?
So you have a couple. The main one that we talk about today are battery backup systems. There are
Ooh.
systems they're called water powered systems, where as long as you have water pressure, the sump pump will be able to pump water out. Those aren't very common these days, and they wasted a lot of water,
Define
which is
water.
what.
Define water pressure because it's in a hole, right?
No, so those were actually hooked up to like your water supply and were powered by the
Um,
water pressure of your water supply. But they use a lot of water. It's basically they're using that water pressure as the energy source to power the pump. And so they
mhm.
used a lot of water in that process. So they're not very common anymore. But battery backup systems, those are going to buy you probably anywhere from 12 to 48 hours of time if your power were to go out in a heavy storm. Generally adequate.
Okay.
Another thing you can do is maybe you don't want to ever lose power in your home, and this isn't something we would be helping you with, but if you get a generator system, then you're going to be less likely to have an issue as well.
I mean, I am personally here for solar panels plus electric generator. just kind of my preference on how to maintain your house after having my power cut off for 3 days on me. But uh, the brownouts of 2022, I don't know.
I don't think I experienced those, or I totally forgot. I don't know. That feels like a while ago now.
We have gone through too many critical life events in the past 6 years. We don't know anymore. Oh my goodness. Here is, moving on, here is another fun pain point that always seems to hit my family during the holidays, right? Like somebody decides to shove an entire pan of freaking mashed potatoes down the garbage disposal, and then suddenly the garbage disposal is jammed.
Yep.
What? I mean, clearly in that case, it was the mashed potatoes. Um, but what typically causes your garbage disposal to jam? And what is there anything I can do to maintain this garbage disposal to prevent it from jamming
Yeah.
and survive mashed potato related injuries?
Mashed potato related injuries. Yeah, so there's a few things that you can do. One, if you want to be able to maintain your garbage disposal, there's a few things that you should get familiar with on it. There is on the bottom of it a like a hex shaped hole. You can stick an Allen key into it, and that is how you can unjam your disposal. You just basically you can manually crank it. If the motor is unable to turn, that's the first step. See if you can turn it with that. Then there's also if it jams, there's a protective circuit on the garbage disposal. There's a reset button on the bottom. So if it jams and you turn the crank and it's still not turning, but you can actually turn the crank. Like it's not that it's so stuck you can't turn it. You actually are turning it. The blades are free spinning, but then it's not responding. Hit that reset button on the bottom. And it's just basically like another circuit breaker, and it will reset things so that you are able to turn on the power to the unit again. If that doesn't work, there may be a deeper issue. It could be that your garbage disposal has kicked the bucket. As far as maintenance things go, it's mostly just don't throw things down there that shouldn't be down there. No bones, no like real fibrous vegetables.
Mhm. You know, if you do have a bone problem where
Mm,
you are putting bones down your garbage disposal pretty often, I recommend a 1.25 horsepower
that is a beefy
or
garbage disposal.
that, yeah, most of them are not 1.25 horsepower, just to be clear. That'll eat your hand off. Um, most of them are like a third to a half. I think the beefy ones the guys put in are like 3/4.
3/4 is pretty
Though,
beefy. We do put 1 horsepower in sometimes. I will be honest, I think yours is the only one that I know of in a residential home that is 1.25.
that's because I have too much confidence in the little plumbing skills that I actually have and buy things I shouldn't buy. Or I love it. Can't Another concern that I know has happened to a few homeowners that I am aware of, though I will say we don't get calls in for this one as much, but that there is a leaking pipe either under their sink or under like a crawl space or in a wall, and you
Hmm.
don't know about it. And it,
Yeah.
it causes this big issue where you need to call in a restoration company to like replace the drywall and get mold remediation. And there's
Hmm.
just, it's a headache that nobody wants to deal with. What are some ways that homeowners can catch that type of damage before it spreads?
It's a tough one, especially if it's in like a crawl space or some other inaccessible area of your home. If it's under the sink, I mean, you should be peeking under your sink every once in a while. But the biggest one is just kind of listen. If you ever hear a drip, try to find what the source of that drip sound is. Like, don't just ignore a drip because it's if it's an ongoing thing, that water damage accumulates over time. There's moisture, especially in those enclosed spaces. They don't dry out necessarily as well because they don't get the airflow through them. So you wanna track that down. Otherwise, do annual inspections on your home. Get a plumber to do an annual inspection on your on your home. We offer that as one of our membership services. So we'll come in, we'll do all the legwork of trying to see as much of your plumbing system as possible.
What's included in a whole home inspection if you're getting that done?
So the whole home inspection is going to include us both looking at and exercising. So that means actually turning all of your stop valves in your home. We're going to do that to your main valve, all of the ones that are like at the point of the fixture. We're going to take a look at all of your supply lines, make sure that we don't see any like scabs, corrosion, just visual signs that there may have been water dripping or is currently dripping. We're going to run water through your fixtures, make sure that all of your P-traps are, not leaking. We're going to make sure that you don't have any drains that are running slow and you just kind of got used to it and didn't realize. We're going to take the pressure of your home's water system. We're going to run a water quality test, make sure that your water softener is functioning if you have it. And then we're going to do an inspection of your water heater. Check your anode rod, make sure that everything is functioning, and then we're going to give you a report at the end to let you know these are the systems that are healthy, these are the things that we saw that are a concern, and these are the things that we recommend you get fixed right away.
That report kind of like the thing that Valvoline gives me about my car. Like, your tires are too low and you should probably change your air filter. And dear God, woman, how long has that transmission fluid been in there? Come on, man. Side note.
Yes.
Mechanic's daughter, worked for plumbers, know a few other trades guys. Sometimes my stuff is not well maintained, okay?
It's always the curse, right? The people who do it for other people tend to not do it for themselves.
Absolutely. The whole home inspection, right? What is that going to do as far as pain point wise? Like, as a homeowner, I have learned, owning a home, that this is a forever, never-ending saga of things that have to be repaired and maintained and painted and pulled apart and put back together. And there's too much going on all the time. What are you fixing for me? How is this whole home inspection making my life better other than now I have to schedule a plumber to come out once a year for an hour and a half?
Well, one, you don't actually have to schedule us. If you're a member, we're going to be reaching out to you to schedule it for you. So you don't have to remember, is it time for me to get my annual check? Do I have to remember to go do these things myself? No, we're going to reach out to you. We're going to get it on the schedule for you. So it's one less thing to worry about. And then it gives you the ability to plan, right? So the worst thing about a plumbing problem happening is it happening suddenly, and then you have an unexpected repair bill. If you have this annual inspection report happening, like I said, we're going to tell you what's good, what needs attention soon, and what we recommend gets attention now. And that's a recommendation, right? Any of these things, if you weren't aware of them already, you might be able to, ignore them for a little bit. If there's an active leak anywhere, of course, we're going to tell you need to get that leak repaired. But at the end of the day, it's your home and you get to make choices about it. So if you want to plan for a repair in a few months, wonderful. If you think that these things that we're flagging are not things that you're concerned about, let's say we check your water heater and the anode rod has been consumed, right? There's not currently a functioning anode rod in your water heater. that is something that we are absolutely going to flag, and we're going to recommend that you put a new anode rod in. But maybe you're like, this water heater is already 10 years old. Rather than doing that, I'm just going to save my money for a couple of years and then I'm going to replace it. The chances are it may not fail just because your anode rod hasn't been replaced for 2 years. It might, but at least you're aware that that's a possibility, so that when it comes time, you've had time to prepare yourself and to save up for it. It just basically, it gives you the power to make the decisions about your home because you know what's going on with it.
For people who are part of, and it obviously, like, if you were in the Dayton, Beavercreek, Centerville, Xenia, if you were in the greater Miami Valley area, clearly we would prefer that you call us and be part of our service plan. But if you are not part of a service plan, what are things that I should be looking for to say that this is a good service plan? Because like you're talking about telling somebody that their anode rod's bad. Well, if they have to replace a water heater in a couple of years and they're paying, a couple $100 a year for a plumbing service plan, I'm hoping there's some benefits on the back end.
Yeah. So there's lots of different plans out there. They tend to come with a basic set of features. There's going to be some form of priority, right? You're a member, we're going to treat you with, just a little bit more urgency. So the priority scheduling is usually a part of that. That just means that if you call us and we already have a busy schedule, we are going to figure out how to work you in. Then also there's oftentimes some kind of discount, right? We know that you're going to be calling us. We probably didn't have to spend advertising dollars to get you to call us again. We're going to pass those savings on to you. And so you're going to get a discount on all plumbing work. There may be other kind of side benefits, right? Like maybe there is a certain level of project that we're going to do at a discounted, an additional discounted rate. Like maybe we have these are your maintenance items, and we'll do a maintenance package for you where it's prepaid so that you don't have to do that one big lump sum. Ours includes one annual drain cleaning of your choice. So we're going to come in and we're going to clean that drain for you at a time that you choose for no additional cost. That is a benefit of our annual membership. But yeah, those are some of the things that I would expect to see included. Probably doing some sort of annual check on your home, a discount for all plumbing services, and priority scheduling. We'll custom order Beamoji jumpsuits.
To close this out, on the list of things that scare homeowners the most, and the thing that every January becomes my phone nightmare, because it is seasonal and we hit negative temperatures in January, February, frozen or burst pipes. What are the preventative steps?
Okay, so first, know your home, right? Is there a room or an area of your home that gets colder than the rest of it? Most people are going to kind of know where this is, right? It's probably some outer wall. Maybe it's a little room and you tend to keep the door closed. So a half bath somewhere on an outer wall. If it has plumbing fixtures in it, so I mentioned a half bath, it's got a sink and a toilet in there. Just be aware that those rooms are going to be colder than the rest of your home. And when those really, really cold temperatures hit, you might get something, especially overnight, that actually freezes. If you know that, open up the doors. Don't let make sure that the air's circulating. Maybe even put a fan there to help the air circulate. Another thing you can do is that faucet that's if there's a faucet that's most at risk, turn it on a little bit so that it's dripping. Okay, that's going to keep the water flowing. That water that's flowing through there is probably warmer than the air, so that's going to help keep things from freezing.
Define doors. Which doors am I opening? I'm opening the door to the bathroom, putting the fan in, and just walking out? Like, what am
Yep.
I opening?
Also cabinet doors. So if you
Ooh.
have kitchens, if you have an
Mhm.
outer wall kitchen and your kitchen is kind of a chillier kitchen, open the cabinet doors and let that air circulate in the cabinet underneath. The goal is to get the warm air as close to the pipes as possible. If it's really, really bad, and or if we get like extra cold temperatures, space heaters. Get a space heater in there just for the time that, we're going to have that cold temperature, just to try to keep things from freezing. Um, Long-term fixes. So these are all like temporary in the moment things that you can do, right? It's a short-term problem because we're in a cold snap and you just need to get through until the temperatures are like more normal winter temperatures. If you have something that is, most homes this isn't a problem anymore because we do have insulation and like good heating stuff.
Yeah, I
But
know
if
in
you
my
have
house,
something,
like, I just realized that. So our master bath does sit on an exterior wall,
mm-hmm,
but it's like the shower and the bathtub are over there, and
mm-hmm,
the pipes aren't on the exterior; they're on an interior.
right. So
But
they're at less risk.
yeah, all of the other bathrooms are like basically centralized on the stack, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like they're all interior to the house. Like they're not
Right. So
actually,
for your house, the only other thing that you'd be worried about is probably the kitchen sink
yeah.
on the exterior wall. But because it's in such an open area of the house, it's probably got enough like warm air circulating, and most likely you're not going to have a problem with even though it's an exterior wall, there's probably insulation in that wall. It's probably not going to freeze. Opening your cabinet doors in like the coldest weather is probably a good idea. Also, maybe dripping the sink, but unless we have like really, really negative temperatures for a sustained period of time, you're probably not going to have to worry about it. Um, Another thing you want to be looking at is your hose bibs. You want to make sure that you have disconnected them so that,
Mm.
take the hose off, make sure that they have drained out for the frostproof ones, and you probably should have winterized them. You should have a shut-off valve on the inside. Turn that off, make sure all the water past that shut-off valve has been emptied out.
For those of us who are not plumbers and do not hold a
Mm-hmm.
master's license, what
Mm-hmm.
are other words for a hose bib?
Lots of people call them outdoor faucets, outdoor spigots. Um, what are
Garden
things?
spigots, a good one.
Garden spigots. Yeah, it's just it's the thing on the outside of your house that you are attaching a hose to so you can spray down your car. That's pretty much it.
You were like, you can spray down your car, and I was like, so you can water your tomatoes.
Yeah. Wash your car, water your tomatoes, hose down some
Power wash the
kids,
house.
power wash the house. It's that water
Outdoor
source
water
on the
outlet.
outside of your home.
Have you ever seen one of those hot and cold hose bibs?
Mm-hmm.
Just so I can have like temperature controlled splash pads for the kids
Mm-hmm.
now that we have a tankless.
It's a great application.
I feel like this is a luxury I should get after an ice maker. Uh,
Ice maker first, then hot water outside.
maybe more like updated deck, upgraded kitchen, ice maker, then hot water outside.
There's a priority list there somewhere.
The only space in my house that is not used all the time is the guest room. Or, no. We are still doing the buy a tankless water heater, get a water softener on the house.
Yes. Yes, we are.
And we absolutely are. So if you've been thinking about a tankless, a great way to make sure it lasts longer. Here's the thing. We're doing this because with a tankless water heater, you're putting in something that's going to hopefully last 20 years. And to get it to last that long, we want to make sure that the water going into it is not going to cause damage. Because there
Exactly.
are, water is not pure. City water is not pure, I should say.
Unless you're in
Especially
a lab, you probably don't have pure water.
exactly. And it would taste horrible if you did. So to make sure that this lasts and that you're not replacing it in 5 years, because it's not a cheap item to be replacing, we're gonna install this water softener as well to make sure. And granted, every 6 months or so ish, actually, we need salt. You got to go down there and throw salt in. My husband has to go there, but uh, but it's completely worth it to make sure that your tankless lasts longer, and then you're gonna have the ability for the dishwasher to run and the washing machine and 2 showers and the kitchen, and everybody's gonna have hot water, and you have to bathe 32 people in a row, which I know we don't typically have sports teams living in our house. You can do it.
You can do it.
Or if you have a 7-year-old boy like I do that likes to fill the bathtub all the way up, unplug it, drain it all the way down, plug it back up, and then he did this 3 times earlier this on Monday night. Monday night. And he said, "Mommy, but the water's still warm." And I'm like,
Did
you
did he used to have a rule that you could do that until the water got cold?
no, he just, it like, apparently he had learned that at his friend's house, you could not, like, you couldn't run the water all the time because you would run out of hot water.
Yeah.
Not, you know, he's 7. He doesn't know what the difference between water heaters are. He didn't see their water heater.
Right.
He didn't know we had a different tape. So he was trying. Apparently, he's been doing this in the bathtub. I now know my water bill's $200. He's been just filling the effing bathtub, trying to run the water heater out. Except we have endless hot water.
Endless hot water.
Kid's gonna kill me.
He's running a very important experiment that he just didn't have. He didn't think that that could be the result, is that he couldn't run out of the hot water.
No. So, if you need a tankless water heater so your 7-year-old can fill the bathtub 3 times in a row and you can discover things about how children learn, give us a call.
And we'll throw in the softener for free.
And as always, stay sweet.